Before Shaq became this larger-than-life celebrity, TV personality, and meme machine, he was one of the most terrifying players in basketball history. A lot of people today know Shaq as the funny guy on Inside the NBA, but in his prime, there was nothing funny about having to guard him. He was 7'1", around 325 pounds in his Lakers prime, and somehow still explosive enough to run the floor, catch lobs, spin off defenders, and dunk with so much power that it looked like the rim was in danger every single time. Shaq didn't play like a normal center. He played like the game was too small for him. And the craziest part is, this started almost immediately. When Shaq entered the NBA with the Orlando Magic, he didn't look like a normal rookie. Most young big men need time to get stronger, adjust to the speed of the league, and learn how physical NBA defense really is. Shaq looked ready from day one. He was bigger than almost everyone, but what made him different was how fast he moved for his size. He could sprint in transition. He could catch the ball deep in the paint. And once he got 2 feet near the rim, there was basically nothing the defender could do. One of the most legendary early Shaq moments was when he literally destroyed the backboard. And that sounds like something people exaggerate. But with Shaq, it was real. He dunked with so much force that the entire structure shook, collapsed, or broke. That's when people started realizing this wasn't just another athletic big man. This was a physical problem the league had never really seen before. Because when a player is already strong enough to break equipment, what is one defender supposed to do? But maybe the most disrespectful Shaq moment ever came against Chris Dudley. This play basically explains prime Shaq in one clip. Shaq gets the ball close to the basket, backs his defender down, turns, rises up, and throws down a monster dunk right on him. But the dunk wasn't even the most disrespectful part. After the finish, Shaq's momentum carries through, and Dudley gets shoved to the floor like he was just in the way. The arena goes crazy. Dudley gets up angry and throws the ball at Shaq. And honestly, that reaction makes the moment even more legendary, because it shows how frustrating it was to guard him. This wasn't just getting scored on. This was getting physically embarrassed in front of everyone. That's why Shaq highlights hit different. A lot of players have poster dunks, but Shaq's posters didn't look like normal dunks. They looked like a grown man bullying another grown man who had absolutely no chance. As scary as Orlando Shaq was, Lakers Shaq was a completely different level. This was the version of Shaq that felt like a cheat code. By the early 2000s, he had become stronger, heavier, smarter, and more experienced. And when the Lakers built around him and Kobe Bryant, the rest of the NBA had a serious problem. In the 2000 NBA Finals against the Indiana Pacers, Shaq was almost unstoppable. The Pacers had size. They had physical defenders. They had a real team. But none of that mattered. Shaq was catching the ball deep, turning over either shoulder, finishing through contact, and living at the rim. It didn't look like a fair matchup. Every possession felt the same. If Shaq got position, it was basically over. You either gave up the dunk, fouled him, or hoped he missed. That was the entire defensive strategy. And when your whole game plan is basically, please don't let him catch the ball near the basket, that tells you everything. The craziest thing about Shaq's dominance is that he wasn't only doing this to weak defenders. He was doing it to elite big men too. One of the best examples is Dikembe Mutombo. Mutombo was one of the greatest defensive centers ever, a shot-blocking legend, a defensive player of the year type of player, the kind of guy who made most players think twice before attacking the rim. But against Shaq in the 2001 Finals, even Mutombo looked overwhelmed. That's what made Shaq different. Most dominant players have one thing that makes them special. Some are too quick, some are too skilled, some are too strong. Shaq was all of that, but in a 7'1" body. So even if you were tall enough, you probably weren't strong enough. If you were strong enough, you probably weren't quick enough. And if you somehow had both, Shaq still had soft touch around the rim, great footwork, and the ability to finish through contact like the foul didn't even matter. That's why guarding him was almost impossible. You weren't trying to stop him, you were just trying to survive the possession. Eventually, teams realized something uncomfortable. They couldn't defend Shaq normally. So instead of trying to stop him from scoring, they started fouling him on purpose. That strategy became known as hack-a-Shaq. The idea was simple. Shaq was so dominant near the rim that giving him free throws was sometimes better than letting him dunk again. Think about how crazy that is. NBA teams basically admitted, we can't guard this guy, so we're just going to foul him and hope he misses. That is one of the biggest compliments a player can receive, because it means the normal rules of basketball didn't work against him. You needed a special strategy just to make the game playable. And even with that strategy, Shaq still dominated. He still won championships. He still won finals MVPs. He still forced entire teams to change how they played defense. That's why his free throw weakness almost makes his dominance more impressive. Everyone knew the one part of his game they could attack, and he still destroyed teams anyway. Prime Shaq was more than dominant. He was unfair. He broke backboards. He bullied defenders. He forced rule changes, strategy changes, and entire teams to rethink how they defended the paint. And even now, years later, his highlights still look ridiculous. Because there has never been another player who combined that much size, power, speed, and personality in one body. So the next time people talk about the most unstoppable players ever, Shaq's name has to be in that conversation. Because for a few years, guarding Shaquille O'Neal wasn't basketball, it was survival. Who should we cover next? Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson, LeBron James, or Mike Tyson?